Hey everybody, just wanted to share another free open source tool. If this is helpful, you're welcome to use it. The link to the repository is included in the description for the video. You can download this, but basically what this is a way you can remotely deploy updates or install software remotely. So it's it's not super mature yet, but does work. Let's go open. So there's two parts to this. There's the lab update and the lab update client. So the lab update is meant to be installed on the remote machine and run as a service so that it's always running. So when the computer boots up, this will start, running and listening for connections. And let's look at a little bit of what it's doing. So when it starts up, and this is using NISTM. This is available on VIPM if you're interested. We're using this TCP connection manager function. And then we are creating our listener. And we're also creating a command queue here with some data. And I'll show you where that data is coming from. So that's kind of our startup code. We also have this connection manager, which is basically just listening over and over again for incoming connections. When they come in, it's adding the connection to the list. And that's all this loop does, right? It's just dedicated to just listening for incoming connections. And it can support, up to the max amount of connections that the port supports, which I believe is 1024. So yeah, you can basically have all sorts. There's no reason you should have that many connections, but yeah, that's the idea. We also have this message receiver, which is just getting all of the connections. So everything that's connected to it, it's going to try to read data from. And yeah, if we get a timeout, it's going to check if you're still connected to that client. And if you aren't, then it's going to remove your connection. And if you don't get a timeout, you actually get some data. Then it's going to look if you've sent it this install command, which is going to be just JSON of this cluster, which is basically the path to the installer, whether it's an MSI or not, and any options you want to include. So you can add additional custom options to that installation if you want it to run like silently, or if you want to set logging, or whatever. And it's just going to enqueue that. And then we have this install manager, which is going to run our installation. So it's going to check if this is an MSI. It has to treat it a little differently. So it's going to call the MSI exec.exe with your path to your MSI and peg on any options you've added there. And it's going to run that through the system exec. And it's going to collect a whole bunch of info. So we're going to get what time that install happened at, the name of the installation that ran, the path for the install, the standard output, standard error, return code, and any errors that this threw. And it's going to flatten that all to JSON. And we're going to just record that result. So it's going to keep a log file of the installations. So here we're just basically connecting to this public documents file. And we're going to move the cursor of the file to the end and then just input our new JSON. So that way you'll have a log of everything that gets executed. So yeah, you can kind of keep track of that. Also, if an installation fails, you can kind of look into why that might have failed. You can see kind of all the pieces of that. So yeah, that would basically be the service side, the server. So this is, like I said, this is meant to be installed on the remote machine you're trying to install stuff on, and to be run as a service so that it's always running. Now we have the client side. So let's open that up. This is what the UI looks like. It's pretty simple. Basically, we have this install target field where we can basically put in either the IP address of the target or the DNS name of our target. So if it's a different computer, we need to know either the name or the IP address. And then here we can select our exe or MSI that we want to install. We can specify that and put options in here, and then just click install. So one thing, this isn't transferring files, so this is assuming that there's a place you can put files in a globally accessible location, which may not actually be the case in your instance. In this case, right, it's expecting that you have some sort of shared file structure or something where you can pull those from. It also could be easily integrated as well to pull code or pull builds from like a git releases or something like that. It wouldn't be that much effort for you to then replace this path with like a like a URL or something like that to download and to execute. So you could do something similar with that. But yeah, basically the client doesn't do much, right? There's the panel close case that just kills the VI. And then we also have, when you click the install button, we're just going to connect to that target using TCP. We're going to read metadata, and then we're going to execute this install command. Using this install to run, we're just flattening that to JSON, sending that, and then closing the connection. And we basically just have some different errors. So if there's no error, it'll let you know the install started. If there is an error, you'll get the error handler there to pop up a message. That's really all that the client is doing. So that's kind of it in its current state. You're welcome to use this as is, and it works great. I haven't really had any issues at all with it for just saying, hey, run this install. The one thing that it doesn't do yet is it doesn't allow you to schedule updates, which that's what I'm working on right now, is so I can say, hey, I want you to install this at 9 p.m. on Saturday, right? And then the commands received, and it will basically just check to see when it's that time. Now run this installation. So right now it's an immediate installation, right? Once I send this command, it'll start installing it. Still saves me a whole bunch of hassle, right? I can go deploy stuff from my desk very easily without having to go all around the floor, but it is immediate. So yeah, next thing I'm working on is setting it up so I can schedule updates to happen at certain times. So that way I don't have to kind of micromanage that. But yeah, that would be a lab update. If you're interested in this, this is all up in my GitLab. So you're welcome to go pull it and do what you want with it. But yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Canon Controls is your gateway to mastering LabVIEW. Dive into programming for data acquisition, industrial communications, and manufacturing automation. Explore how to enhance your projects with cybersecurity best practices. Join the journey to elevate your skills and secure your systems with every episode.